Welcome to EMC test design. Today we will be talking about our isotropic antenna OFA-G. Isotropic antenna has constant directivity in any direction. What is the construction of our isotropic antenna? As you could see, antenna has antenna head, it has handle, and it has power unit. Power unit includes RF preamplification, charging circuit, and battery. Output of this power unit is RF signal that we need to feed into spectrum analyzer. We will offer two options. One option is if our customer uses regular spectrum analyzer like the one you could see here, or in another case, which we will see later, it could be USB spectrum analyzer connected to a PC. What is the application for isotropic antenna like OFA-G? It can be used for selective RF measurements when you would like to see and measure the signals that can be surrounded by some other signals, sometimes having even higher amplitude. Isotropic antenna actually looks very similar to our other very popular product, probe. This in my hand is Broadband probe that has the same frequency range, almost same frequency range as this antenna. Nevertheless, this is a different device. Output of the probe is DC signal that requires DC voltmeter to be amplified, corrected, and displayed. Output of the isotropic antenna is RF signal that you need to use with spectrum analyzer. The reason why you need to have such product as isotropic antenna is that if you don't know the frequency, or maybe signal of interest is surrounded by some other signals, maybe even higher amplitude, you will not be able to measure it with a broadband probe, because broadband probe will show you the cumulative field strengths independently on frequency, and you will never know which signal you're observing. So if you can isolate signals that you are interested in, or is the signals that you create, using RF probe is very simple and good solution. At the same time, if you're trying to measure field strength of specific antenna in antenna cluster, for example, usage of isotropic antenna like OFA-G is the only choice. There is another type of probes that we also make. This is frequency shaped probe. It has frequency response precisely targeted to FCC or IC-NIRP curve. In this case, precise knowledge of the frequency is not required. So, if you are interested in RF safety aspects of measurements, this probe may be a very good solution. But for all other cases when you need to know the frequency and field strength of your signal of interest, usage of isotropic antenna is absolute must. What are the parameters of isotropic antenna OFA-G? From this slide you could see that frequency range of OFA-G antenna is from 30 MHz to 6 GHz, and field strength range is from 0.5 millivolts per meter to 50 volts per meter. If it's necessary, we can extend a high field of measurements up to 500-600 volts per meter. Inside the head, you have three XYZ antennas orthogonal to each other, and they are being switched in sequence. The resulting signal that we can get gives us RMS value for any orientation of the head with respect to electromagnetic field. Because in order to get stable and correct measurements when spectrum analyzer is sweeping, it needs to cover all orientations of the antenna axis. There is a limit how fast you can sweep this antenna. If you get unstable signal, you just need to sweep slower. This isotropic antenna can be used with any spectrum analyzer without any special software, thus reducing dramatically cost of the whole system and making the system much more affordable. In addition to use with a regular spectrum analyzer, Omnifield Antenna OFA-G can be used with USB spectrum analyzer. Here you see the setup. It's antenna, power unit, connecting cable, USB spectrum analyzer plugged into USB port of the PC. We offer a couple models of USB spectrum analyzers that fit your needs. This spectrum analyzer comes with very powerful software that you run on PC, and it allows you to do any type of measurements. Let me explain some basics of the software setup. I will show a few very important things. Number one, as you could see, spectrum analyzer measures input signal in dB microvolts or in dBms. You would like to measure field strength. You want to have dB microvolts per meter or dB volts per meter. In order to change the unit, you need to go to Utilities, Path Loss Tables, and then there will be antenna factor. You could enable antenna factor, and then you click Edit. And here, for example, I here put three numbers: 100 MHz, 1000 and 10,000, and some offset dB, which will be antenna factor, and unit will interpolate between points. Once this is done, and you save it under certain name, or you can actually upload this file from the SD card and save magically. Your reading now is in dB microvolts per meter or dB volts per meter, depending on units that you selected in the menu. Your spectrum analyzer is equipped both with preamplifier and attenuator, and they both operate automatically. Like, for example, you could see here attenuation is auto. But if you know that you want to measure very strong signal, you may be willing to set attenuation by hand manually, or if you're dealing with very low signal, you may be willing to set preamplifier gain manually, thus increasing signal to noise ratio of your measurements. Spectrum analyzer can also be used with software package on PC that allows you great flexibility in recording data from Omnifield Antenna OFA-G. So right now I have this analyzer connected to this antenna, and this analyzer is connected to USB, and I'm running free software that is supplied or can be downloaded with this spectrum analyzer. Same trace that we see on the screen of the spectrum analyzer we could see on PC, and this allows me huge flexibility in terms of recording this data, making catalogs of data, performing all functions that are available from the front panel of the spectrum analyzer, especially if I would like to use it unattended for longer periods of time, or perform some functions that can be better performed by using PC. In this video we try to show you how to use OFA-G Omnifield antenna, and we demonstrated its application with two types of spectrum analyzer and showed you a few packages of software to run on PC. If you have any more questions concerning application of Omnifield Antenna OFA-G, please feel free to contact EMC Test Design. And please subscribe to our channel.